Hatred is not always a loud storm. Sometimes it hides in a gentle smile, masking a clenched fist. It nods politely in public, yet whispers ruin in private. True hatred is patient, waiting silently, observing, plotting. When it strikes, the damage is done. Relationships fracture, careers crumble, families break apart. The tragedy is most men never see it coming. They doubt themselves before suspecting the one who's been poisoning them slowly. In this video, we uncover 5 unmistakable signs of true hatred, a venom that seeps into life unnoticed. These are not fleeting grudges or passing moods. These are profound patterns that, once recognized, will forever change how you guard your inner peace. If you value clarity, trust, and your future, you must know these signs before it's too late. Join me to the end. If you seek truth unclouded, subscribe, like, share with those who need it, and comment below. I stand as the sentinel of my soul's peace. Let us begin. The first sign: they actively work against your triumph. This is a bitter truth. If you've lived long enough, you've met them, men who don't just resent you but crave your failure. Not in fleeting anger, but with calculated intent. They don't shout or rage. Instead, they act as silent saboteurs, sowing doubt in others, pulling strings behind the scenes, ensuring their fingerprints never appear on the chaos they create. On the surface, they may seem supportive, even friendly, but each smile hides a secret satisfaction at your potential downfall. The worst part is, most men don't notice until the damage is done. A clear mark of true hatred is when someone quietly but relentlessly opposes your success. Not the man who openly challenges you, at least. Then you can defend yourself. No. This is the man who nods at your words, praises your ideas, then subtly shifts the ground so those ideas never see light. Picture a colleague who forgets to send you critical emails before a big meeting, yet ensures everyone else is informed. Or a kinsman who, in casual talk, quietly undermines your standing, perhaps noting you've been under stress or quick-tempered lately. These small remarks don't raise alarms immediately, but over time, they craft a narrative about you that you cannot counter. This isn't carelessness or incompetence. It's deliberate sabotage. In the arena of work, they may aid your project, but miss deadlines or lose key data. Knowing you'll bear the blame, they might claim your ideas as their own before the boss, or highlight a minor error to diminish your strengths. In personal life, they play the same game. They sow discord between you and loved ones, not through bold accusations, but with sly hints and half-truths that erode trust. Over time, you notice patterns: invitations you never receive, opportunities that vanish without cause, friends who treat you differently for no clear reason. From the Stoic perspective, the challenge is not just seeing these patterns, but responding without being consumed by wrath. Marcus Aurelius taught that the harm others inflict is only as great as the power we grant it in our minds. This doesn't mean ignoring sabotage, but refusing to let it rule your inner state. The Stoic knows men can be cruel, but chooses not to let that cruelty steal his peace. The practical response is twofold: observe keenly and maintain control. Instead of reacting with emotion to every slight, track consistency. Is that forgotten message a one-time error or part of a repeated pattern? Does a careless remark stand alone? Or is it echoed where you aren't present? When you discern someone undermining you, The worst response is an emotional outburst. That's what they want. It makes you seem unhinged while they play the victim. The Stoics' path is to quietly limit their influence, share less with them, document key exchanges, forge alliances with those who know your true character. If possible, produce undeniable results, so their whispers cannot compete with the proof of your success. Subtle sabotage thrives in shadows. It works best when you're distracted or too trusting to see the truth. By bringing it to light, not through public accusations but private awareness, you strip away its greatest weapon, secrecy. Accept this hard truth to shield yourself. Some men find joy in your lowest moments. Your failure is their quiet victory. Proof their long-held resentment is justified. It's tempting to sway them, to prove you're worthy of their respect or kindness. But that's not the Stoics' way. You're not here to change their view of you. You're here to preserve your integrity, focus, and peace. Epictetus taught us to care only for what we control: our thoughts, actions, choices, and let go of the rest. Trying to shift a hater's heart is like stopping the wind with your hands, exhausting and futile. Instead, redirect your energy from defending against them to living so well that their hatred becomes irrelevant. This doesn't mean ignoring sabotage, but managing it strategically without losing balance. Stay calm, refuse their game, and you deny them what they crave most: your emotional reaction. Hatred feeds on the chaos it creates. The Stoic starves it by standing firm in tranquility, yet recognizing this first sign is only the beginning. For another, equally perilous sign lurks, one that reveals hatred in a subtler guise. It's the moment someone's eyes gleam not at your triumph, but at your pain. Once you see it, you'll never unsee it. The second sign: they revel in your misfortune. This isn't mere envy or a bad mood when you share good news. It's a darker truth: men who find satisfaction in your suffering, unable to hide their delight when life strikes you hard. They may cloak their feelings in polite words, but the mask is never perfect. A true ally listens without judgment, asks questions to understand your needs, and offers sincere support. Their voice, posture, and eyes radiate empathy. But those who harbor hatred speak correct words with a tainted spirit. Their eyes may flicker with a spark of glee. Their questions probe your pain invasively. Instead of easing your burden, their words add weight. Seeping through the cracks of their feigned concern, they may lower their voice to seem caring, but you sense a subtle thrill in their tone. They strive for a neutral face, yet a fleeting smirk betrays them. Visible only to the vigilant, they inquire about your struggles not to aid you, but because your misfortune is their amusement. A friend hearing of your legal troubles might fixate on every detail, offering no counsel, only listening as if to a gripping tale. When you share financial woes, they may feign sympathy, but subtly steer the talk to your past mistakes, framing your plight as self-inflicted. The clearest sign isn't how they react to your setbacks, but their indifference to your victories. Your good news earns a lukewarm reply before they shift topics. Yet when misfortune strikes, they linger, their voice livelier, as if relieved to dwell on your pain. On social media, they ignore your triumphs but rush to comment on your struggles, cloaking their words in support while amplifying your woes. This is no accident. It's a pattern that feeds on negativity, using your hardships as a currency of social leverage. The danger lies not just in the emotional sting, but in the slow erosion of your spirit over time. You may hesitate to trust anyone with your vulnerabilities. You might stop sharing joys, sensing their dismissal. That's their aim, to dim your emotional openness until you're reduced to a struggling shadow in their eyes, a version that feeds their ego and affirms their silent triumph. In Stoic wisdom, this is where mental discipline becomes your shield. Marcus Aurelius reminds us that we are disturbed not by events, but by our judgments of them. When someone delights in your struggles, the natural urge is anger or hurt. The Stoic sees their reaction as a mirror of their character, not yours. Instead of clashing in emotional turmoil, adjust your boundaries, share less, curate what they see of your life. Guard your energy like a fortress protects its gates. This isn't retreating from the world or suspecting all its discerning patterns over isolated acts. A single off-tone response might be a fluke, but a consistent delight in your pain is another matter. Confront it not by changing them, but by stripping their power over your emotional state. Epictetus taught that true freedom lies in knowing the limits of your control. You cannot force another to rejoice in your success if they choose resentment, but you can deny them the satisfaction of seeing you weakened. Recognizing this prepares you for a darker tactic, those who not only relish your pain but actively create it. They move beyond personal gratification to calculated sabotage of your life's vital pillars. Their aim isn't just to see you stumble, but to sever the bonds that help you rise. Isolating you with such subtlety, you may not notice until the damage is done. The next tactic is the most insidious. If you cherish your deepest tease, you must spot it before it's too late. The third sign: they sow doubt about you in others' minds. This hatred is terrifying because it's invisible until the harm is done. They don't attack openly, that would expose them. Instead, they pose as the caring friend, trusted colleague, or dutiful kin, presenting themselves as a safe confidant. Their skill makes others see them as a neutral, reliable voice, setting the stage for their true work. It begins subtly. They mention your name in conversations, not with outright accusations, but with gentle hints of doubt. They might say, "I hope Michael's managing. He's been under such strain lately," seeming concerned while implying you're faltering or unfit. They don't lie outright. They blend partial truths with omitted context, making their words sound plausible. If you're stressed at work, they note it, but imply your judgment is slipping. If you err, they highlight it, omitting how you took responsibility and corrected it. By framing their concern as reluctant and private, they build trust while casting you as suspect. Consider David, a seasoned manager with a loyal team. A colleague, Mark, slowly became the team's emotional anchor, expressing worry for David's pressures. In private talks, Mark suggested David was overextending himself, hinting his decisions might lack clarity, spoken with sympathy. These words carried a subtle message that David was no longer sound in judgment. Over time, David noticed meetings held without him, projects reassigned, and colleagues eyeing him warily. Mark never criticized openly. He didn't need to. The seeds of doubt were sown. This tactic, called triangulation, controls information flow through a manipulative intermediary. It's an ancient political ploy. Effective because most don't verify the information. If you don't speak directly to those involved, you rely on a tainted filter that rewrites your story to serve their ends. Seneca warned that the harm others inflict pales compared to the damage we allow by trusting their words. The Stoic's strength lies in clinging to truth and fostering direct, honest bonds with those who matter, thwarting the manipulator's web. If a friend grows distant, reach out directly. If a colleague avoids you, seek a frank conversation rather than relying on tainted hearsay. Never let a manipulator become the gatekeeper of your connections. They target your closest ties because they know these bonds are your strength. By sowing doubt in your allies or making them question you, they weaken you without direct confrontation. A sudden shift in how others treat you demands scrutiny. When a trusted ally turns cold without cause, consider who they've been speaking to and what seeds of doubt have been planted. The Stoic's greatest weapon isn't suspicion but clarity, seeing through the veil of feigned kindness to the malice beneath. Your task isn't to chase every rumor or justify yourself to all. Stand firm, speak plainly, and never let another dictate your life's narrative. For once you cede that power, you hand them the tools to fulfill their aims. This clarity prepares you for a darker truth, one that reveals human weakness in its rawest form. The fourth sign: they mimic you while striving to surpass you. This isn't mere rivalry or admiration, it's an obsessive hatred, seeking to usurp your very essence. They don't just wish for your misfortune, they yearn to replace you, to live as a shadowed version of your life, claiming superiority. They study you not to learn, but to copy, to strip away your uniqueness and declare they've done it better. They track your habits, your words, your connections, your public presence. This isn't curiosity, but surveillance, born of deep insecurity. You embody something they believe they deserve but cannot naturally attain, be it your ease with others, your earned respect, or your personal stability. Instead of forging their own path, they make you their measure. They believe that by outdoing you in your own arena, they prove their worth to the world and themselves. Their mimicry escalates, driven by a need to eclipse you at all costs. Consider Picasso and his rival, Braque. Their early collaboration spurred creativity, but Braque's rivalry turned personal. Copying Picasso's work so closely, it blurred who originated what. To outsiders, it seemed mutual inspiration. Picasso knew it was an attempt to erase his mark. This malicious mimicry doesn't create, it erases origins. True inspiration builds on your ideas with originality, openly acknowledging your influence. But hatred copies parasitically, tweaking just enough to claim the work as their own. In work, they mimic your proposals, altering details to present as theirs. In life, they adopt your passions, but strive to seem more skilled or devoted. This isn't shared joy, it's theft, stripping you of ownership while they posture as superior. The danger lies in their psychological ploy. They may accuse you of copying them, twisting the narrative to paint you as the imitator. This reversal discredits you while reinforcing their claim to supremacy, warping your reality into a distorted mirror. Epictetus taught, to progress, accept being seen as foolish. This is your antidote. By refusing to compete in their game, you sap their energy. The Stoic doesn't strive to outshine them, but steps away from comparison, starving their obsession. No matter how closely they mimic, they cannot replicate the core of your character unless you let their actions sway you. You'll feel this sign in their presence, a draining unease. Not the uplift of true inspiration, but a signal to guard your soul. True inspiration fuels pride and energy. Malicious rivalry leaves you weary, insecure, always on guard. If someone lingers in your circle only to mirror and outdo you, that unease is a warning. They're not here to share your path. They aim to rewrite it with themselves as the hero. The longer you tolerate this, the more emotional energy you lose. You're drawn into watching their moves, anticipating their next step, trapped in their competitive snare. The Stoic path is to withdraw, not from life, but from their contest. Guard your boundaries. Recall that your worth isn't measured by another's yardstick. By refusing to play their game, you win by preserving your peace, identity, and focus victory in the only way that matters. This brings us to the fifth and final sign, tying all together. It's the most revealing and perilous, striking at how you experience those around you daily. Once seen, it cannot be unseen, a truth that demands your vigilance. The fifth sign, every encounter with them drains your spirit. This isn't a tense exchange or a fleeting clash. It's a relentless pattern, slowly sapping your confidence, energy, and inner peace. With each interaction, you may not notice at first, as no overt clash marks these exchanges, yet you leave each one feeling unsettled, anxious, or angry without clear cause, replaying the conversation in your mind. Searching for the moment, it turned sour. That's the trap. There's rarely a single moment, for the harm is dealt in subtle doses, slipping past your conscious defense. Those with true hatred wield a toxic energy, even in mundane talks, eroding your spirit with every word. Your instincts sense it before your mind can name it. Their tone may be calm, their words polite, but their presence gnaws at you, leaving a residue of unease that's too sharp to ignore, yet too vague to pinpoint. This is why their presence exhausts you. Without open conflict, you're locked in a psychological duel you didn't choose, expending energy just to stay vigilant against attacks, too subtle to name, but too real to dismiss. It shows in the smallest details, a backhanded compliment laced with sarcasm, a fleeting smirk after a yep or your flaws, or a casual mention of a past mistake framed as harmless reminiscence. Picture someone eyeing your work and saying, "It's better than I expected," or glancing at your home and noting, "It's decent for this neighborhood." Each remark is veiled in courtesy, but carries a barb meant to keep you off balance. Over time, you change without realizing. You avoid certain topics, speak more cautiously, question your own thoughts before sharing. This eggshell walking isn't hypersensitivity, it's self-preservation, learned from repeated subtle strikes. They may even deny their words or twist yours to make you seem irrational, sowing doubt, not just in your relationships, but in your memory, judgment, and stability. Marcus Aurelius wrote, "The soul takes the hue of its thoughts." The danger is that constant exposure to their corrosive influence taints your mind. You begin to wonder if you're overreacting, too sensitive, or if they're right about you. This silent psychological war grinds you down, drop by drop, until self-trust wanes. Once your self-belief falters, you become pliable to their manipulation. The Stoics' response isn't to fight over every slight or demand apologies for veiled insults. That plays into their hands. Instead, step back and see the pattern for what it is. Your peace is yours to guard. Protect it by limiting their sway, refusing to let your mind become their battlefield. Trust your instincts if every encounter leaves you drained, diminished, or on edge. That's not chance. It's a warning. You don't need undeniable proof of their malice. The toll they take on you is evidence enough. That's reason to set boundaries, to keep your distance, to shield your spirit from their slow poison. This subtle erosion is the final and most perilous sign of true hatred, for it doesn't just harm your reputation or steal your ideas. It seeks to rewrite your sense of self from within, crafting a version shaped by their malice. Recognizing this pattern completes our journey through these signs. True hatred is rarely loud or chaotic. It's silent, calculated, present. Once you see it, you cannot unsee it. And how you respond defines whether you're ensnared or freed. If you've followed this far, these 5 signs are not mere insights into human behavior, they're tools for survival. They draw the line between preserving your soul's peace and being quietly dismantled by those who smile while striking. Once you see, you cannot turn back. You cannot pretend such people are harmless. Stoicism teaches that while you cannot control their malice, you can control who approaches your heart. You owe no one a seat at your table if they come to poison your feast. Trust the unease in your chest when their name appears. Trust the exhaustion after their words. Your instincts aren't paranoia, they're wisdom forged in experience, urging you to protect yourself. Act on that wisdom. Set boundaries. Walk away if you must. Above all, don't waste energy on those who seek your downfall. If this video has stirred you, offering clarity you needed, don't just move on. Subscribe now, for we're building a brotherhood of men who refuse manipulation and weakness. Like this video to signal you value this truth. Share it with a friend facing silent foes. And comment below, I choose peace over poison. Asterisk. Your greatest act isn't proving them wrong. It's living so well their hatred becomes irrelevant. The next video awaits, elevating today's lessons to new heights of protection. Click now. Your future self will thank you for the strength you build today.